Some stories don't end in happily ever after. Some end in becoming. Lila had always found solace in scents. Even as a little girl, she would wander the fields near her home, collecting wildflowers and herbs from her grandmother's lush garden, mixing them into fragrant potions that only she seemed to appreciate. To her, scents were a silent language, a memory, a feeling, a piece of magic captured in a bottle. But life's fragrances turned bittersweet the day tragedy struck. Her parents died unexpectedly in a car accident, leaving Lila orphaned as the only child. In a world that had suddenly turned cold and unrecognizable, the only hand she had to hold onto was Marcus's. Marcus, supportive and caring, became her anchor during the storm of grief. He held her close through sleepless nights, brushed away her tears, and whispered promises of a future where joy could bloom again. Their bond deepened swiftly, and it wasn't long before they married. For a while, it seemed Lila had found a small patch of warmth in an otherwise frigid world. Yet deep inside, a quiet fear gnawed at her. Would she ever truly heal? Desperate to reconnect with a piece of herself, Lila returned to her first love, perfume. Their tiny apartment soon transformed into a workshop of dreams, with bottles, oils, and notes scattered across every surface. Mixing fragrances late into the night, she found flickers of her lost happiness with each new concoction. Marcus cheered her on, always offering an encouraging smile or a kiss on the forehead. Yet Lila couldn't ignore the feeling that to him, her passion was little more than a hobby, a way to pass the time, not something to build a future around. As months passed, subtle cracks formed in the life they had built together. Marcus began coming home later and later, his absences explained away with vague mentions of long hours and urgent projects. Private phone calls, sudden work functions that didn't include her, and a growing emotional distance weighed heavily on Lila's heart. At first, she tried to understand, reminding herself he was working hard for their future. But soon, even her attempts to share small joys from her day were met with bored nods or distracted glances. Conversations dwindled into silence. Nights grew lonelier. Some evenings, Marcus wouldn't come home at all. When he did return, he would silence her concerns with lavish gifts, usually a bottle of expensive perfume, as if trying to buy her forgiveness and quiet her questions. Each bottle he handed her felt like a brick in a wall building up between them. Lila often found herself sitting on the edge of their bed, staring at the rows of gleaming bottles lined up on her vanity. Under the soft golden light, the vibrant colors and rich scents whispered promises of dreams she refused to let die. In those silent moments, she made a decision: she would not lose herself again. She dove deeper into her work, studying every bottle meticulously, learning the science and the art behind each fragrance. Flowers, oils, resins, she absorbed it all with a hunger born from pain and longing. Her notebooks filled with formulas and observations. Her tiny room, once a refuge, became a laboratory for reinvention. Months passed. Her perseverance bore fruit. Blossoms of her heart bloomed in glass vials, each fragrance a memory, a hope, a whisper of her soul. One night, after countless trials, she created a scent that felt like breathing in pure light, a delicate blend of jasmine, warm sandalwood, and a soft kiss of vanilla. She named it Celestial Bloom. It spoke of hope, rebirth, and unyielding strength. Overjoyed, Lila planned a small celebration. She filled their home with candles, letting the fragrance of Celestial Bloom dance through the air. She imagined Marcus's face lighting up with pride, the way he used to look at her. But as the clock struck 8, her dream shattered. The front door opened, and Marcus stepped inside, not alone, but with another woman draped on his arm. Their laughter, light and cruel, stabbed into the room like icy daggers. Lila stood frozen, the bottle of Celestial Bloom trembling in her hands. It slipped from her grasp, shattering against the wooden floor. Glass sparkled like fallen stars, and the air filled with the sweet, aching scent of her broken heart. Lila, I didn't expect you to be here. I thought you went to church or at the studio. You frequent those places nowadays? Marcus stammered, his face paling. So stupid, he added. Beside him, the woman smirked, wearing a look of satisfaction, as if wounding Lila had been the goal all along. I wanted to show you my perfume, Lila whispered, her voice barely carrying over the roaring in her ears. Marcus sighed, almost impatiently, glancing at the woman before turning back to Lila. It's fine, sweetheart. Let's talk later. With a careless wave, he ushered the woman back toward the door, their laughter trailing behind them, leaving Lila alone amidst the broken glass and shattered dreams. Days blurred into weeks of hollow silence. Marcus never returned. His absence gnawed at her, but a spark, born from betrayal, ignited in her soul. Refusing to be defined by heartbreak, Lila poured her pain into her craft. She revived celestial bloom, refining it until it captured not just hope, but the triumph of survival. Every drop became a testament to her strength. With what little savings she had left, she launched a website telling her story of love, loss, betrayal, and rebirth through the perfume that carried her spirit. Her authenticity resonated. Influencers, moved by her narrative, began sharing her creation. Orders flooded in. What began as a whisper of hope became a roar of success. Celestial Bloom sold out within weeks. Lila, once a shadow of herself, was now the face of a brand that embodied resilience and grace. But the pain hadn't fully let go. News reached her through mutual friends. Marcus was still with the woman he had brought home that night. As if that weren't enough, another betrayal awaited her. She discovered he had filed for divorce behind her back. The wound cut deep, but Lila didn't crumble. She refused to let anger devour the woman she was becoming. Standing in her growing studio, now filled with walls of flowers, vials, and dreams, Lila realized she had built something no one could take away. She had turned betrayal into beauty, heartbreak into hope. Her brand exploded across the world. Billboards bore her radiant face, perfume counters proudly displayed her collections, and celebrities clamored to be associated with her. Launch parties were grand affairs attended by the wealthiest and most influential. Lila, once invisible, now commanded rooms filled with admiration. One evening, as she signed lucrative contracts and toasted to her growing empire, a letter arrived, a court summons. Marcus was suing her, demanding a share of her business. If you were Lila, what would you do? The studio lights glowed softly, casting a golden halo around Lila as she sat across from the famous talk show host. The audience buzzed with excitement. Everyone knew her story by now. The girl who turned heartbreak into an empire. Knew her story by now. The girl who turned heartbreak into an empire. Lila, the host began, leaning in with genuine curiosity, so many admire you. After everything you went through, the loss, the betrayal, the lawsuit, you never crumbled. You forgave, you thrived. Tell us, what kept you going? Lila smiled, graceful and composed, wearing a shimmering silver dress that seemed to mirror the strength in her heart. I realized, she said, her voice clear and calm, that no one could take away what I planted in my soul. When you root your dreams deep enough, storms don't destroy you, they water you. The audience held their breath, hanging on her every word. I didn't forgive because it was easy, she continued. I forgave because I refused to let betrayal be the fragrance I wore for the rest of my life. I chose to bloom instead. A standing ovation erupted across the room. As the applause filled her ears, Lila glanced at the bright lights above her, then beyond them, as if looking into a future only she could see. She had lost everything. And in losing it, she had found herself. I am not the girl who was left behind, she said in closing. I am the woman who moved forward. The camera captured her radiant smile as the screen faded to black, leaving a final image burned into every heart watching. Lila, stronger than betrayal, brighter than grief, and more alive than ever. Thank you for watching Lila's journey, a story of heartbreak, healing, and unstoppable growth. If this touched your heart, remember, your pain does not define you, your becoming does. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs a reminder that even in life's darkest moments, we can still choose to bloom. And always remember, the best chapters are the ones we write for ourselves. Some stories don't end in happily ever after. Some end in becoming.